It's Nicole. Welcome back to my YouTube. Today I'm here for Simple Stories, sharing with you a super fun project using the Summer Days collection. It's a really cool summer collection by Simple Stories. Today I'm going to be using a ton of these cut aparts. So you can see here I have the 3x4 journaling cards, and I'm just cutting out some of my favorite ones that I think I might want to use on this project. I'm not sure at this point where I'm going to wind up with all of them, but I do use quite a few. And cut aparts are really great because you can use them as layering pieces, you can use them on their own, you can use them to make a mini album. But today I want to make the scrapbook page, and I kind of have a bit of an idea. I'm going to trim a lot of these cards down, so I'm just going to start by trimming them down and layering a few behind my photos, and then picking ones that I want to use for a pennant design. So I'm going to use one of them as my title, and then the rest I'm going to create little pennants across my page. So you can see here I have some smaller photos. I think these are 2x4 or 2.5, 3.5x4. Maybe slightly smaller because the cards are 3x4. So that's the size of my photo, and I've popped them up, and I'm just going to add them over top of two of the journaling cards, just like pattern paper. And so the idea I wanted to do is, at first I was just going to use the cards as is, the same size, but I quickly realized that they're almost too large for that on their own. So then I had to kind of get a little more creative, and I'm going to end up cutting a lot of these down. So I grabbed some papers from the same collection kit just to do some layering behind, you'll see later. And I really like all the pretty florals. There's some really great ones. I love this yellow color. Normally I'm not a yellow person, but you can see I'm just going to trim these down in some pennant shapes and use the cards to layer in behind those pennant shapes. So it's a great way to use up some of your scraps. I'm going to do a couple here, the same kind of pennant design, and then I'm going to trim down some of the others into different shapes, so I don't have the same one type of pennant shape all running all the way through my design. So here I'm going to just cut this in the middle and trim it down and layer it over top and just kind of stagger things along. I want to have it on a bit of an angle, kind of like a banner would if it were hanging on its own. And then this is where I kind of decided I wanted to change up the size or the shape of my pennant. So I just trimmed that off into a different bottom shape. And this card here, I really like that floral cluster in the bottom, and I love the note paper lined card, so I'm going to keep that a square, and I'm just going to trim that one down just slightly so it's a little bit smaller. And I like the title, Summer is a State of Mind, so I'm going to use that journaling card. You can see I've just trimmed it down again. And now I have some scraps of pattern paper. I'm just going to make smaller tags just to kind of fill in those gapped areas there where the journaling cards maybe are a little bit too big. So really kind of simple, not really fancy at all. Again, I'm trying to vary up my style of pennant shape. I think if they were all that pointed pendant, pointing two pennants pointing out, it might be a little bit too boring. So even just that one there, two that are almost like, it looks like a little pocket of a jean, kind of makes a little good variant. So I'm going to add little strips of paper here from the journaling cards as well, just to kind of layer things on. And I have this lovely red gingham I'm going to use to make another tiny little tag, and I'm going to layer that again over top of one of the pennants. So really kind of simple, and it's a lot of layering, a lot of little bits, and I'm trying to use those journaling cards as much as I possibly can to finish off the whole page. So I really didn't want to use much pattern paper, those big sheets. I guess I used some tiny little bits, but the whole inspiration came from these journaling cards. So from here, I'm just kind of digging through my supplies. You can't really see, finding all the little fun bits that Simple Stories has. So there's this really great bits and pieces section here. Lots of little die cuts and ephemera. So I'm going to layer these in behind and then add them over top as well. So I think I'm going to grab a sun and a camera. There are some really great circles, all different kinds of shapes. I really like that Hello Sunshine die cut. And I love adding these little mini sentiments to the bottom of photos. I find that like fills in blank areas really, really well. And it just lots of little layering pieces. So there's flowers and hearts, and I really love these ones. So I'm going to add those on. And the idea with this is I'm trying to add as much as I can right now, so that I can go ahead and sew the whole thing down so that it's not, I'm not sewing each individual piece. I'm making like two big swags of pennants. So I'm just going to tidy this up here. and then move on to the next thing. I have some brads as well and some decorative tape. So I really love all the florals right now. So I'm just going to add little bits of the decorative tape. I love this one here. And I keep picking it up and moving it around a little bit. It's almost translucent. It's not transparent, but it's almost translucent, so you can kind of see the pattern just peeping through a little tiny bit, which is kind of nice. And then you get that faded kind of background from the back of the washi tape. All right, so what am I going to do here? I think at this point I'm going to start sticking these pennant shapes down. And I'm not going to sew over my photos, but I am going to leave them kind of in place just so I can get everything kind of settled and layered properly. And I'm going to add that Hello Sunshine pop later. So now I'm just going to take my little mini sewing machine here. This is a Genome at home. I've had a couple questions lately about that. That's what this one is. So I'm just going to do just a quick few rows of stitching just to get it all down on the page, to be honest. And then that adds a nice texture too, right? Kind of a 2-for-1. I have some foam adhesive. I'm just going to pop some of these stickers and embellishments over top. Same with that Hello Sunshine Sun. That's a really cute one. I really like that one. And then again, even though I popped my photos on top of the journaling cards, I'm gonna pop them again just so they have a nice kind of natural dimension when you look at the page. And now it's all the fun bits that get added to the page. So there's these really cool brads. These are the old style brads where you have to pop them through. So I'm going to add a few of those. And what else am I going to add? I'm going to add a little bit of foam adhesive in behind the bottom of my pendants. And that's so they look like they kind of are floating a little bit. So the top part is stitched down, and then I'm just popping up the bottom parts just to get a natural shadow underneath. That's what a lot of designers do when they go make projects for CHA and other kind of trade shows, is foam adhesive is their friend. So when in doubt, use foam adhesive. I think it's a really great way. I've talked about it before to add dimension to your product, and it's pretty cheap. So lots of fun little bits here. This fun camera with the brad inside is really cute, so I'm going to add that. These are perfect for layering, and the fact that the brad kind of holds everything down is even better. So it's just a matter of popping your hole in there and then adding it in. And I have almost too many choices here to choose from. I can't control myself. I want to use all those little tiny brads. I like this is a really good collection. This is one of my favorite summer collections right now. So if you haven't seen it, you should really try to grab it before I'm sure it's gone, because I love all those florals. I'm in like a floral kind of frenzy right now. So I'm going to add a little washi just ripped underneath, ripped in half, just kind of adds a little bit of texture. Another quick and easy layer. I'm going to rip it in half so it kind of looks like it's popping up and behind. And what else am I going to do? So, I'm going to add a few flowers. So I just have this old flower punch I've had for a long time, and I wanted to add some white. I felt like everything was kind of a little bit too yellow at this point. So I just have some glue dots here, and I'm just going to take some of these flowers and just scatter them kind of in amongst my pennant banner, just to kind of add a little bit of movement and just a few more pops of white, so it's not quite so yellow. And then I decided I was liking the white, so I punched just a scrap of white cardstock, as you can see, with my scallop punch, and I trimmed that down to probably around 1/4 inch or so. And then I'm just going to cut little strips and adhere them kind of like as a little extra layer onto those pennants. That's just to make, finish things off a little bit, make it a little more fun, and so that things aren't just quite so sharp edged. And so this takes a little bit of tweaking. I'm just going to move things around a little bit. And there's no right or wrong, but I really like how the little scallopy edge kind of goes there. It looks pretty nice. Yeah, so things are coming along pretty good. I think now, I'm going to add some hearts. So I really like the red gingham, and I noticed I had a lot of red on that top row, and so I wanted to add some to the bottom. So I'm going to sandwich two together with some foam adhesive in between. And I'm going to add a glue dot just to get that stuck down real nice. And I'm going to add this here onto my pennant. And that brings just some of that red kind of down onto the bottom row, because there was kind of a little bit of a gap there because there was not quite a bit of red, but more red on the top. And then I decided to add some buttons to the center of each of those little flowers. These buttons, I believe, are from Doodlebug, and I think I go with the black ones because the pink ones were just a little too pink compared to the pink that's in the pattern paper. So I am going to stitch those down. I never leave a naked button. I know I've talked about that as well before. So I'm going to stitch those down as usual. I just have like a roll of cheap crochet twine that I have. That's what I use to sew these down with, and it goes pretty quick and easy. So I'm going to use these. I have quite a bit of goopy adhesive stuck to the back. I must have stitched through the glue dot on one of the flowers, and I'm just using my adhesive eraser to kind of unclog that a little bit so it's not quite as sticky, because then it's kind of hard to handle. That needle feels all weird, all sticky, and then the thread won't move through the needle. So yeah, anyway, I'm just going to finish off this last one really quickly. And then what else am I going to do? I think I might add a few droplets to this page, just because it seems like nothing's complete these days unless I add some mist, which I thought that would be over by now. I thought I might be over that whole trend, I guess you could say, but apparently I am not. So I'm just going to cover up some of these things here. Just add a few droplets of mist, and I kind of went a little overboard on that top corner there. So I regret this right away, but I think the black does help tone down that buttery yellow, even though I really like that buttery yellow color. It was pretty yellow, especially with the yellow pattern papers that I was using. So I think that's it. Oh, I wanted to add a date stamp, so I'm going to add just a date, and that's about it. So here's how things turned out. You can see I actually, after the video, I added in some white die cut flowery sprigs from Just Nick Studio, my cut file store. I had those lying around in an extra pile, and I added them in behind my photos. They kind of add in with those little tiny flowers I had added as well. Just kind of looks fun, and I really like how this one turned out, nice and bright and summery. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this one for today. I will see you next time. Bye bye.